The Galactic Empire was the dominant force in the known universe. Their power spanned galaxies, subjugating civilizations that had existed long before humanity had even discovered fire. They wielded technology beyond comprehension, warships the size of cities, weapons that could tear apart planets with ease, and an army of advanced species that had once ruled their own empires before being absorbed into the relentless tide of the Galactic Empire. They were unstoppable, unquestionable, and believed themselves invincible. When their massive fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, the skies darkened as if night had fallen. Humanity, with its fledgling space capabilities and primitive weaponry, could only watch in horror as the Empire's warships blotted out the sun. Every satellite, every telescope pointed upward, capturing the terrifying sight of the invaders. Panic swept across the globe as broadcasts aired the Empire's message. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Empire. You will join our collective or face annihilation. This is not a negotiation." The ultimatum was cold, devoid of any emotion or room for discussion. The Empire did not consider Earth a threat. It was merely another planet in a long line of conquests. Humanity was given a short timeline to comply, submit, or be destroyed. The clock was ticking, and Earth's leaders were paralyzed with fear and disbelief. In the days that followed, Earth's governments scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were held in hastily arranged conference rooms and underground bunkers. World leaders, military generals, scientists, and diplomats all gathered, searching for any glimmer of hope. But the harsh truth was clear: humanity was utterly outclassed. Their most advanced military technology was nothing compared to the Galactic Empire's overwhelming might. The images of the Empire's warships filled every screen, monstrous constructs that defied the imagination, floating ominously in low orbit, ready to rain destruction at a moment's notice. Earth's combined military forces seemed laughable in comparison. Fighter jets and drones, advanced missile systems, nuclear weapons, all obsolete in the face of the Empire's weaponry. Humanity's greatest achievements suddenly felt insignificant. Panic spread quickly. Across the world, cities braced for an inevitable attack. Military forces were deployed in defensive positions, but everyone knew it was futile. The Empire didn't need to land troops. They could end everything from space with the push of a button. Still, humanity wasn't one to surrender easily. In their desperation, they fought to find a solution, no matter how impossible it seemed. As the hours ticked by, the discussions grew more frantic. Scientists theorized about the Empire's technology, hoping to find a weakness they could exploit. Military strategists drew up countless battle plans, each more desperate than the last. Diplomatic channels were opened, but the Empire's response was the same: submit or be destroyed. There would be no mercy, no compromise. The end seemed inevitable. But in the darkest of hours, hope came from the most unexpected of places. Deep beneath the surface of the Earth, in a secret underground facility, a group of scientists had been studying an ancient artifact for years. The artifact, a massive structure buried in the Earth, had been discovered decades earlier by accident. At the time, it had baffled researchers, a relic from an unknown civilization, pulsing with energy, completely beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Despite years of study, no one had been able to fully understand it. Some had theorized it was of alien origin, others believed it was a natural phenomenon. But now, with Earth facing certain destruction, the artifact became their last hope. The scientists, led by Dr. Evelyn Hayes, had kept their findings quiet, not fully understanding what they had. But as the Galactic Empire loomed over Earth, the urgency of their situation pushed them to unlock its secrets. Dr. Hayes and her team worked around the clock, running tests, analyzing the artifact's energy, trying to make sense of the strange symbols and technology embedded within its surface. The artifact was massive, buried deep beneath a mountain range, and its structure was unlike anything built by human hands. It hummed with a low, steady vibration, as if alive, pulsing with an energy source that defied all known science. Dr. Hayes believed it held untapped power, something beyond humanity's understanding, but also something that could potentially save them. It was the only card they had left to play. As the scientists worked, a strange discovery emerged. The symbols on the artifact bore a striking resemblance to ancient languages from early human civilizations. It was as if the artifact had been connected to Earth for millennia, waiting for something, or someone. It wasn't just an alien device, it was part of Earth's forgotten history, and now, in their greatest hour of need, it was responding. The artifact's energy began to increase, its pulses becoming more frequent, more powerful. Dr. Hayes and her team couldn't explain it, but they knew they were close to unlocking something monumental. Whatever this artifact was, it was no longer dormant. It was waking up. Back in the halls of government, discussions had reached a critical point. World leaders were faced with the impossible decision: should they submit to the Galactic Empire and become a vassal state, or fight and risk total destruction? The arguments were fierce, but no one wanted to be remembered as the generation that gave up humanity's freedom without a fight. Still, the reality of the situation loomed large. With the Empire's fleet hovering overhead, what chance did they really have? In secret, however, Earth's leaders knew they had one last option. The scientists working on the artifact had sent word that they were close to something that might turn the tide. But no one knew exactly what it was or if it would work. The decision was made to stall the Empire for as long as possible. Earth's diplomats engaged in half-hearted negotiations, pretending to consider the terms of surrender, while behind the scenes, all eyes were on the underground facility. The tension was unbearable. The artifact had to work, there was no other choice. As Dr. Hayes and her team pushed the limits of their knowledge, the pulses from the artifact grew stronger. It seemed to respond to their efforts, as if recognizing the urgency of the situation. The air in the facility crackled with energy, the lights flickered, and the ground itself seemed to vibrate with power. It was then that the decision was made: humanity would not bow. Despite the overwhelming odds, despite the terrifying power of the Galactic Empire, Earth's leaders refused to surrender. They knew the risks, they knew the potential cost, but humanity's spirit of defiance was too strong to be crushed by fear. They would fight, and they would place their hopes in the artifact. The message was sent to the Galactic Empire: Earth would not submit. The Empire, unsurprised by humanity's defiance, prepared for total annihilation. But what they didn't know was that deep beneath the surface, something far older, far more powerful than anyone could have imagined, was awakening. The artifact, the last hope of Earth, had begun to unlock its full potential. The game was far from over. The Galactic Empire had grown impatient. Earth's refusal to submit was, in their eyes, nothing more than an irritating delay in what they saw as an inevitable conquest. Their confidence in their overwhelming superiority had not wavered. They believed Earth was just another insignificant planet, full of primitive lifeforms clinging to hope. It was time to remind humanity of their place. Without hesitation, the Empire initiated their first wave of assault. Smaller, elite strike teams were dispatched to the surface, their mission clear: cripple Earth's leadership, sow fear, and force them into submission. The strike teams descended from orbit in swift, precision maneuvers, striking key cities across the globe. Earth's defenses, still in the process of scrambling to organize a response, were no match for the Empire's technology. Warships hovered above, unleashing terrifying firepower, while ground forces moved with frightening efficiency. Skyscrapers crumbled in an instant. Communication networks were disrupted, and military bases were rendered useless before they could even muster a counterattack. The destruction was systematic, calculated. Humanity watched helplessly as their cities fell one by one, unable to stop the devastation. In the chaos, fear spread like wildfire. Governments, already on edge, struggled to maintain order. Civilians were caught in the crossfire, fleeing for their lives. The sheer scale of the Empire's assault left the people of Earth paralyzed. There were no speeches of hope, no calls for unity, only the stark realization that their world was crumbling beneath their feet. Earth's most advanced military technology, jets, tanks, missiles, proved futile. The Empire's forces were too fast, too powerful, too coordinated. It seemed inevitable that Earth's leaders would be forced to surrender. But amidst the despair, the artifact beneath the Earth's surface began to stir. The scientists had been working tirelessly to understand it, but now the urgency of the situation left no room for caution. They pushed the limits of their knowledge, trying to unlock its power before it was too late. The artifact's pulses of energy, once faint and sporadic, began to grow stronger, more consistent. It was responding to something, perhaps the very energy of the attack itself. The scientists were on the verge of a breakthrough, but they couldn't afford to wait any longer. With the Empire's forces closing in, they made the decision to fully activate the artifact, not knowing exactly what would happen. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the artifact, spreading across Earth's atmosphere like a shockwave. It moved with such speed and intensity that the Empire's forces were caught completely off guard. Their advanced communications systems flickered and went dead. Elite strike teams found their technology malfunctioning, their movements disrupted. Warships in orbit detected the energy surge, but it was too late to stop it. The artifact had awakened. The surge didn't stop at disabling technology. It created a protective barrier around the planet, as if Earth itself had come alive. The sky shimmered with a strange glow, and the very air felt charged with power. The Empire, so certain of their victory, suddenly found themselves on the defensive. They had never encountered anything like this before. The artifact, drawing power from deep within Earth's core, had created a force that defied all known science. It was no longer just an ancient relic. It was a weapon, one that humanity had unknowingly been sitting on for millennia. As the Empire's forces scrambled to regain control, humanity began to fight back. With the artifact now fully active, Earth's military forces found themselves wielding newfound power. Their weapons, once primitive by comparison, were suddenly enhanced by the energy of the artifact. Missiles flew faster, hit harder. Ground forces moved with newfound precision, their technology bolstered by the strange power flowing through the air. It was as if humanity had tapped into something far greater than themselves. The tide of battle began to turn. The Empire's elite soldiers, once unstoppable, found themselves at a disadvantage. Their weapons malfunctioned, their armor weakened, their ships struggled to maintain stability. Earth's forces, now empowered by the artifact's energy, pressed the attack. What had once been a desperate defense turned into a coordinated counterstrike. Battles raged across the globe, with Earth's soldiers pushing back the invaders. The balance of power had shifted in an instant. In the underground facility, the scientists were in awe of what they had unleashed. The artifact was far more than a technological marvel. It was a living force, one that seemed to be responding directly to humanity's will to survive. But as the artifact continued to pulse with energy, it began to transmit more than just power. It started to reveal secrets buried deep within its ancient structure. Information flowed into the minds of those closest to it, leaders, scientists, military officials, filling them with knowledge that had been lost to time. The revelation was staggering. Earth was not just another planet in the galaxy. It was the cradle of an ancient, powerful race that had once ruled the stars. This forgotten civilization had left behind the artifact as a legacy, a safeguard for their descendants. Humanity, long thought to be a simple, primitive species, was in fact the rightful inheritor of a long-lost empire. The Galactic Empire, which had claimed dominion over the galaxy, was nothing more than an offshoot of this ancient civilization. They had risen in the wake of humanity's forgotten past, unaware of the true power that lay dormant on Earth. This revelation spread quickly through the ranks of Earth's defenders. What had started as a fight for survival had now transformed into something much greater. Humanity wasn't just fighting for its place in the galaxy, they were fighting to reclaim their rightful heritage. The knowledge of their ancient past ignited a new sense of purpose in the people of Earth. They weren't just resisting the Empire, they were rising to take their place as the true rulers of the galaxy. The Empire, still reeling from the unexpected resistance, was now faced with an enemy they could no longer underestimate. Earth's forces, bolstered by the artifact's power and the knowledge of their heritage, pressed the advantage. What had begun as a doomed defense had become a coordinated, strategic offense. Humanity was no longer just trying to survive, they were fighting to win. The Galactic Empire had always believed themselves to be the pinnacle of power in the universe, but they had never encountered an enemy like humanity. Earth, with its ancient legacy and untapped potential, had become a force to be reckoned with. The artifact had not only saved them from destruction, it had revealed their true destiny. And now, with the power of their ancestors coursing through them, humanity was ready to take the fight to the stars. As the artifact's energy continued to flow, Earth's leaders knew that this was only the beginning. The battle for their planet had been won, but the war for the galaxy was just starting. Humanity had awakened, and the Galactic Empire would soon learn that they had made a fatal mistake in underestimating the people of Earth. The true rulers of the galaxy had returned, and nothing would stand in their way. The Galactic Empire had never expected to be pushed this far. Their confidence had bordered on arrogance, believing Earth to be just another primitive planet in their ever-expanding dominion. But as the battle dragged on, the reality of their mistake became clear. The power of the artifact was far beyond anything they had encountered, and humanity, once deemed insignificant, was now an unstoppable force. The Empire had grossly underestimated their opponent, and the consequences of that miscalculation were unfolding before them. Desperation spread through the Empire's command as they realized they were no longer the hunters but the hunted. Reports of failure flooded in from every corner of the battlefield. Their strike teams had been neutralized, their warships crippled by the artifact's energy. Communication systems remained down, disrupted by the artifact's interference, and their most advanced technologies seemed useless against the forces they now faced. With no other choice, the Empire escalated the conflict, hoping that overwhelming numbers could turn the tide. Reinforcements were called in from across the galaxy. More warships, larger fleets, and countless soldiers descended upon Earth, their sheer numbers filling the skies. The Empire hoped that this massive show of force would finally break humanity's resolve. It was a gamble, one that they believed could still win the war. But they were too late. Earth was no longer a weak, defenseless world. Empowered by the artifact, humanity had tapped into something far greater than the Empire could comprehend. As the Empire's forces gathered for their final push, Earth's defenders prepared to strike back. The artifact, now fully activated, had transformed the battlefield. Its energy had spread across the globe, creating a protective shield around the planet, one that even the Empire's most powerful weapons couldn't penetrate. Warships fired at the shield in vain, their attacks absorbed by the artifact's immense power. For the first time, the Galactic Empire was facing an enemy they couldn't touch, and their frustration grew with every failed strike. Humanity, now armed with the knowledge of their ancient heritage, knew this was the moment to act. The final battle had begun, but this time, Earth wasn't just defending, they were on the offensive. Empowered by the artifact's energy, Earth's military launched a massive counterattack. Fleets of enhanced aircraft took to the skies, their weaponry amplified by the artifact's power. On the ground, soldiers moved with renewed strength and precision, their movements guided by the artifact's influence. The battlefield was no longer just a clash of technology, it was a fight for the very soul of the galaxy. The Empire's warships, once thought to be indestructible, began to fall one by one. Earth's forces dismantled them with a speed and efficiency that stunned the remaining Imperial commanders. The artifact's energy had turned the tide in humanity's favor, and now the Galactic Empire's forces were on the run. Skies that had once been filled with the Empire's warships were now dominated by Earth's fighters, cutting through the enemy lines with surgical precision. The tables had turned completely, and the Empire was now retreating, unable to withstand the onslaught of Earth's counterattack. As the battle raged on, something extraordinary began to happen. The artifact, now fully connected to Earth's defenders, started to reveal even more of its true potential. It wasn't just a source of energy, it was a key to humanity's past. In the midst of the final battle, certain individuals within Earth's forces began to experience strange phenomena. Soldiers, scientists, and even civilians who had been near the artifact during its activation started to exhibit remarkable abilities. Telekinesis, telepathy, heightened senses, these latent powers, long dormant in humanity's DNA, had been awakened by the artifact. This revelation spread quickly through Earth's ranks. A select group of individuals, known as the Awakened, began to use these newfound abilities in combat. Telekinetic soldiers deflected enemy fire with ease, while telepathic commanders coordinated Earth's forces with unprecedented precision. It was as if humanity's ancient ancestors were guiding them, their lost powers returning at the most critical moment. The Galactic Empire, already reeling from the artifact's energy, now faced an enemy with abilities they couldn't even begin to understand. The Awakened led the charge, their powers amplifying the artifact's influence on the battlefield. The Empire's remaining warships, once feared across the galaxy, were torn apart by the combined might of Earth's forces and the Awakened's abilities. Every strike from the Empire was met with an even more devastating counter. The Empire's soldiers, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves overwhelmed by an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. It was no longer a battle of technology or strategy. It was a battle of destiny, and humanity had the upper hand. The Galactic Empire, facing complete annihilation, had no choice but to retreat. Warships that had once symbolized their dominance turned and fled, leaving behind a battlefield littered with the wreckage of their defeat. Earth's forces, now fully in control, watched as the Empire's once mighty fleet vanished into the distance. The battle was over. Humanity had won, not just by defending their home, but by reclaiming their place in the galaxy. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's leaders gathered to assess the situation. The revelation of their ancient heritage, combined with the powers of the Awakened, had changed everything. They were no longer just a small planet fighting for survival. They were the rightful rulers of a galaxy that had forgotten them. The Galactic Empire, once thought to be invincible, was now in shambles, their forces humiliated and their leadership in disarray. Messages from the remaining Imperial leaders arrived soon after, offering a truce. They recognized humanity as the rightful inheritors of the galaxy and sought peace, knowing they could no longer fight against the power that had been unleashed. Earth's leaders, aware of the significance of this moment, chose not to seek revenge. Instead, they extended an olive branch, offering to rebuild the galaxy under a new era of cooperation and unity. The Empire, broken and humbled, had no choice but to accept. With the war behind them, humanity began a new chapter. The artifact, now fully understood, had unlocked not just their past but their future. Earth, once a small and insignificant planet, had become the center of a new galactic order. The Awakened, with their powers now fully realized, led the way in forging alliances with other civilizations, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. Humanity had reclaimed their forgotten legacy, and with it, the responsibility of guiding the galaxy into a new era of peace and prosperity. The Galactic Empire had fallen, and in its place, a new order rose, one built on the strength, resilience, and unity of a species that had been underestimated for far too long. The true rulers of the galaxy had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again.